Close your eyes for a second. Think of the place where you came closest to dying, or closest to real danger. Not the event itself, just the place. The room, the street, the exact corner. Can you still see it? Most people can. Perfectly. Sometimes decades later. Which is strange because you've walked through thousands of ordinary rooms and streets in your life, and almost all of them are gone completely. Here's an even stranger version of the same mystery. You can probably picture that place with total clarity right now, but you can't remember where you put your keys 10 minutes ago. That's because your brain isn't one memory system. It's several. The one that tracks your keys is completely different from the one that remembers where you almost died. 50,000 years ago, a hunter kneels beside a river to drink. Reeds rustle. A lion explodes out of the grass. He escapes. Barely. Heart slamming. Water still dripping from his hands. He never forgets that bend in the river. Not the smell of it. Not the sound. Not the exact angle of light on the water that afternoon. The system that handles your keys is small, temporary, and clears itself constantly because holding onto it costs energy for no benefit. The system that handled the river is something else entirely, something that doesn't clear, doesn't fade, and never asks your permission. The first clue to why comes from deep in your temporal lobe, a structure called the hippocampus. Its job is building a constantly updating map of everywhere you've been, not out of curiosity, but because an animal that can't remember where the water is or where the danger was doesn't last long enough to matter. But if it held on to every place with equal weight, your mind would drown in noise. So most of the map disappears within days. A year later, the hunter's tribe moves back through that same stretch of land. He steers them a different way, and he can't fully explain why, only that his body refuses to walk toward that water. That still doesn't explain everything, though. Right next to the hippocampus sits the amygdala, your brain's alarm system. The moment something threatens you, it doesn't just register fear. It sends a command to the hippocampus. Record this one in high definition. No exceptions. Quick question. 2 ancient humans drink from the same river. Both get attacked by the same lion. Both survive. One forgets the exact spot within weeks and eventually wanders back. The other never returns. Which one is more likely to have descendants alive today? Here's where it gets stranger. Fairness was never evolution's goal. Only the second instinct got passed down often enough to matter. This is also why your 7th birthday is a blur, while the time a dog lunged at you is razor sharp, a pattern called negativity bias. Your brain was never built to make you happy. It was built to keep count of what almost killed you. A gazelle bends down to drink from a watering hole. A cheetah bursts from the grass. The gazelle escapes by seconds. Weeks later, herds pass that same watering hole freely. This gazelle doesn't. It circles wide, drinks somewhere else, and never explains itself to anyone because it doesn't need to. This isn't a human story wearing an animal costume. Ecologists have documented this exact pattern across countless species. The system inside your head is not a human invention. It's a survival program older than your entire species, running quietly in brains far simpler than yours. Evolution added one more twist. Someone who nearly drowns at one specific beach can end up afraid of every beach, every large body of water, sometimes a swimming pool. Researchers call this fear generalization. It isn't weakness, it's the same alarm running wider than it needs to, because a brain that occasionally panics at a harmless look-alike is still alive tomorrow to panic again. A brain that waits for perfect certainty sometimes doesn't get a tomorrow. Here's something even stranger still. Children can inherit a fear without ever inheriting the actual memory behind it. A child never bitten by a dog can still flinch at one, just from watching a parent tense up around them once. Scientists call this observational fear learning, and it means the map in your head isn't only built from your own close calls, some of it was handed to you by people who never told you why. A parking lot where something bad once happened. A hospital hallway. One specific street you drive out of your way to avoid without fully knowing why. This same ancient alarm never got the memo that the danger has passed. Sometimes it works exactly as intended. Sometimes it never turns off, which is where PTSD and panic attacks come from. The same protective mechanism trapping a modern mind inside a memory it can't seem to leave. Now imagine your own child, years from now, walking toward water you've never told them about. You don't consciously remember any lion. You've never mentioned a river. But without thinking, your hand shoots out and grabs their arm. That's not a story about ancient hunters anymore. That's happening in your body right now, every day, in ways you don't notice until they happen. Here's the part that should genuinely stop you. Your brain doesn't remember dangerous places because they were dangerous. It remembers them because you survived them. If the lion had actually killed the hunter at that river, there would be no memory at all, nothing passed down, nothing to steer his tribe away from anything. Every terrifying place you can still picture right now is, by definition, proof that you made it out. But that's still not the final piece. Your brain isn't actually storing the past at all. It's using the past to predict the future. Every dangerous memory isn't a photograph. It's a forecast. When the hunter's body refused to approach that river a year later, his brain wasn't replaying the lion. It was running a prediction. This place, historically, produces lions. Scientists studying fear learning describe this as a predictive system, one built specifically to answer a single question over and over for your entire life. Not what happened. What happens next? That is the entire reason memory exists, not to preserve your past. To protect your future, you don't have a memory of dangerous places. You have an early warning system that happens to feel like remembering. The hunter died an old man, decades after that afternoon by the water. Not because he was stronger than the lion. He wasn't. He died old because on one ordinary afternoon beside a river, his brain made a decision it would never reverse: to refuse to forget. 50,000 years later, a driver still avoids one bend in a road he can't fully explain. A child still crosses the street rather than walk past a house where a dog once lunged. Different centuries, different lives. The exact same brain. Still running the exact same program. Can any of it be rewritten? Every time you recall a memory, your brain briefly destabilizes it and rebuilds it. A process called reconsolidation. In that short window, new information can be written into the file. This is the actual mechanism behind exposure therapy, returning to a safe version of a feared place again and again, slowly feeding the prediction system new evidence. It isn't instant, but the forecast can change. Which raises one last question. If dangerous places are supposed to be unforgettable, why do some people climb Everest after it has taken lives, or return to the war zone they escaped? Maybe because the same system that predicts danger can also flag a place as unfinished, a question the brain hasn't stopped asking. Sometimes returning isn't a malfunction. It's a prediction still waiting to be tested. Somewhere inside your head right now, there's a map. Not of roads, not of rivers, not even of the world. A map of places where life almost ended. Every frightening experience redraws it. Every close call adds another mark. And tomorrow, before you're even aware of it, your brain will quietly use that map to decide where you feel safe enough to stand. If this changed the way you think about your own memory, subscribe. Because the next hidden survival mechanism still running inside you is even stranger than this one.